Welcome back to the Delivering More platform, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alcar. Thank you so much for consuming the content morning, afternoon, and evening. We appreciate it. As always, if you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have another amazing driver spotlight to bring to you folks today. I have with us a driver who's been on platforms like DoorDash, Uber, and Uber Eats, and most notably has joined the DeliverThat platform in April of 2023. And since that time has taken 612 deliveries, delivered $190,000 worth of food, and driven 3,200 plus total miles. Welcome to the spotlight, Bryan from San Francisco. You're in San Francisco. I got that part correct, at least, right?
Yep.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. How long you been out there?
I've been out here for about a year and a half now. I'll say it's all right. We do get a good amount of orders, a healthy amount right here in the city. Sometimes they try to take you over the bridge, but those orders is cool too, as long as they bring you back.
Hell yeah. What about like the scenery out there? You see the Golden Gate Bridge and things like out there? What's the scenery like out in San Francisco?
Oh, the city, man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful city. You know what I mean? You got the tall buildings, you got, the water, the nice little piers out here. It's a nice little tourist spot. Unfortunately, you do got a lot of the homeless scenes out here too, so you got to watch out for some of that. We got a lot of that going on out here.
Yeah. I actually have a really good friend who lives in San Francisco. Currently, he works at he's an traffic controller out there. Works at one of the airports out there, and I hear some similar horror stories. Sometimes it gets a little dicey here and there. Sometimes out there with those homeless. But I want to start out with I've never done a this or that with the driver spotlight. But I want to see if we can get in a groove here, get a little icebreaker going. You cool with that?
I'm down.
All right, so I'm just going to give you two options. You pick one or the other, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right, so this will be Bryan, this or that. We'll start out. This will be an interesting one since you're new to San Francisco. How do you feel about city or suburb?
I'm suburb.
Hell yeah.
I would prefer, because I'm originally from San Jose, so we have a lot more space out there. Up here, it's a little more compact. It's a little disheveled, if you will. If you ask me, but the city life is cool. The only thing that I will say is compact. So you get a lot of like action all in the same spot. I know in San Jose, everything's a little more spread out.
Okay. I'm a suburb guy my entire life. I've been to some big cities, but I'm the same. I think I'm good without traffic. I'm not a big traffic guy. I don't really understand how it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm like that too, because I need my space. And parking is crazy out here too. So, in the suburbs, you don't have all that action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. How do you feel about in terms of communication, texting or calling?
Call me. I just prefer the quick call most of the times. Because if we get into the text battle, that can be time consuming as well.
Hell yeah. I'm pretty similar. I'm not a big texter. I like to get in and out. Sometimes those texts get dragged on. You don't even know when the conversation is going to end.
Right, we're just texting. Oh, you didn't get my. Why did you text me back? All that extra. Yeah, just sometimes it's like, yeah, just call me. We could have cleared that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Easy enough. What about in terms of getting food for yourself? I thought this would be an interesting question for someone who works on a food delivery platform. Would you rather go pick up your food or have it delivered?
Interesting. Me, I'm a pickup guy kind of. Because I like to get it kind of quick. Because most of the time, the delivery takes another 30 to 45 minutes extra. The spot is usually not that far. I could probably get it in like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I'm a big pickup guy. I don't want to pay the delivery fee a lot of times. Even it's like I'm paying an extra $10 for that food. It's like I'm on a budget here, guys. What are we talking about?
Right. Price me out. You know what I mean? Once I got a tip, then all this extra, I'll go pick it up. Sometimes I might order through the app and then go pick it up, but yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather pick it up, though.
Okay, that makes sense. What about in terms of how you operate on a delivery platform like ours, or you mentioned Uber Eats, DoorDash, things like that? Would you rather have a delivery that is long miles with higher pay, or short miles with like an average pay?
I'll say, you know what? It kind of takes a combination of both. But for me, I guess in just the short term answer, I'll probably do the short for the regular. You know what I mean? Because I can probably do more. So say for instance, on the short and the regular, I could probably pop two for versus the one for the whatever price. It's I mean, if you like driving, if you don't mind all that, you know what I mean, then it's cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's kind of what I was anticipating. I'm in the same frame of reference. I think a shorter distance, you can pop off like two, three, four deliveries in the time it took to take that one.
To get that one, you know what I'm saying? So I'm more of, yeah, like a numbers guy as far as that goes. Let me try to get two or three in this hour instead of that one that might take me, because you got to drive there and come back. So you got to think about that part, the coming back part, which is
Yeah.
not, those are dead miles in that aspect.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The dead miles, yeah, we don't want that. We want to be able to get some work on the way back. That's a fact. That's all I got for this or that, man. I appreciate indulging my little segment there to start. We mentioned the numbers. You've taken over 600 deliveries in under a year's time on the platform so far. $190,000 worth of food delivered. You're probably going to hit 200,000 by the time your year anniversary comes at the end of April. So incredible job what you've done so far on the platform. I know in terms of your responses, the questions, you seem to be enjoying your time. In terms of the gig economy, though, how did you get started? What was your first gig, and why'd you get into the gig economy itself?
Perfect. Excellent question. Just Well, I got in. I needed some extra money. Well, I was still a caregiver for another client of mine, one of my mom's friends. My mother actually passed away, you know what I'm saying? God bless her. But what had happened was I was taking care of her, full time, basically at the house. And I needed like I would be going grocery shopping for her and doing all this other stuff. And I was like, man, you know what? I need to throw in a little something while I'm out here. So then somebody mentioned DoorDash, and then I started throwing a little DoorDash in there. When I would go out grocery shopping, do a little bit of DoorDash. Boom. Okay, so it was something I was making a little bit of bread, come back. It made a little bit of sense. So then I wasn't just stuck at the house, you know what I mean, doing all that housely stuff, taking care of her, which was great, you know what I mean, because I had to do that. But I needed a little something extra, and then I guess that's what kicked it off, was basically that having that little bit of, I don't know, just in that spare time, you could just do what you need to do. Instead of like having a real job where I had to go clock in and be there, take a lunch, that type of thing was just too much. It's too drug out.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. So is this what you do full time? Is like gig app food delivery stuff?
Full time, part time, you know what I mean? On the side of the caregiving is basically, yes, this is what I do full time on the side of that. So, but as far as the caregiving, it's not too much. You just, you know what I mean? I kind of make up my own hours with that. So on my dead time or the dead time during deliveries, I can just go do what I got to do, pop around with these deliveries. But it's not so crazy because most of the times I could do these, knock out about, four deliveries before 12, 1 o'clock. So it's good. You're basically, that's already like a 8 hour day somewhere.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, yeah, 100%. What about in terms of gig work in general? You mentioned obviously you're doing it kind of for some side hustle money, some incremental payments, like just so you can kind of maybe pay the bills and then or maybe just have some spending money on the side that you want to go out for a night or something like that. What are there any other benefits that you see to gig work and what you do now?
Absolutely. I have my daughter with me now, you know what I mean, which is amazing. And it allows me to take her to school, to pick her up, or, just that freedom, as well as the caregiving. I get to make my own schedule. So I guess for me, it's as long as I can make my own schedule, I feel like I'm more in control of what I'm doing or what I need to do. You know what I mean? And this allows that. I mean, it's not exactly what, you know what I mean, but you can base what your orders are on what you can do. So you do get to kind of create your schedule.
Yeah, no, that makes plenty of sense to me. Being able to kind of operate on your own time, I think that's what a lot of people would vie for in any of their daily lives. What about in terms of kind of operating on the DeliverThat platform? And since you've been on the platform for, as I've mentioned a few times here, going on a year, in another month or so. You've done a hell of a job. I think the numbers I've ran so far, I think we're dating back the past couple months, but in terms of the drivers we were canvassing to have the spotlight, you're up there in number of deliveries taken, like top five in terms of that number. How have you found success on the DeliverThat platform? Was it difficult to get that first delivery and then you felt like you got the ball rolling after that, or what was it like just starting out?
Starting out, it's rough. I'm gonna tell you, you know what I mean? So all the new drivers out there, yes, it's gonna be crazy trying to get these orders and all this and that. But once you find your little groove, you're gonna have to figure out a way to keep that screen open and all those little things, because once you hear it, if you can't see it, yeah, you're probably not gonna get it. You know what I mean? But as long as you can see it, you got action. You know what I'm saying? But my first delivery, let me see how did it go. It was smooth. I don't think it was too much food. I mean, the whole thing was I was familiar with, like, going up to the delivering in places, maybe not food, but just regular stuff. So kind of going into like that type of setting wasn't so bad. I was a little nervous about actually setting up the food. I thought that was going to be crazy because they made it seem like, you got to put the burners down and all this crazy stuff. So I'm like, oh man, it's going to be crazy. But no, it was more simple than that. Just lay the trays out, put the plates up if you have to. Most of the time they're going to tell you, oh, it's okay, we'll do it. They'll want to set it up themselves. So it's been cool in that aspect. But just catching the orders, fishing, that's probably going to be your hardest part, is getting the orders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I agree too. I think the setup part for a lot of people when they first hear about it is like a little overwhelming. They're like, wait, we got to go inside. We got to like talk to the customer. We got to do this, that, and the third. And you're like, well, really, it's just like you even said, I'd say like 50, 60% of the time, the customer's like, yeah, we'll just take it. I believe, I know I got what the responses were wrong when I read initially, so this might not have been your response, but I thought you had responded in terms of a delivery story, taking a delivery that ended up being so large that we had to call out for another driver. Was that your response?
Yes, that was my unusual. They said any unusual deliveries. That was, I think the order was maybe almost $3,000 or something crazy. And at first I thought, man, I got this. I cleared all the stuff out my truck, but there was no way I was gonna be able to get all that stuff though. So me and dude got it. We actually took some little pictures of it. You know what I mean? It was funny. But then we went and set it up. It was smooth. You know what I mean? And it actually paid more than the regular order, so I was happy about that.
Hell yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that we usually flag those orders a little better. That's interesting that it kind of unfolded like that. And we weren't aware that we only had one driver on that delivery initially, but maybe there was some communication between you and the dispatchers prior. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because they were like, well, let us know. And I was like, well, I had done it, but I was like, it's not that much more, right? You know what I mean? If anything, I'll probably just the extra two things in the front, or maybe seven. I'll clear us to throw the extra two in the back. But nah, in fact, I think I used all of those spaces that I thought I was gonna use, and then I think he used all the space he had. So it was pretty nuts. It was pretty nuts.
do you remember what restaurant it was from? Like who had that much food for $3,000?
Yes, that was Italian Villa Kitchen, which is out of off of Ceremony Mall out here, Daly City, I think.
Yeah.
They're pretty popular. I get a lot of orders from them. From them, Cafe Madeline, Bluestone. You know what I mean? That's just to name a few of the popping ones out here.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. I'm pretty familiar with Villa. Yeah, they're always in a mall location too, though. So navigating that can sometimes be a little difficult. Like, where do I park? How do I gotta carry these bags like in and out of this mall location? Like, where's the quickest way to get it?
They're kind of like in a nice little corner shot. So when you get there, you know what I mean, you can kind of pull up. There's like a little service, yeah. I mean, kind of a lot of trucks come back there, so they're not in a bad spot. But I could, but then even on the front side, like where Ike's is, they got like a little carved out section, kind of like for delivery Uber Eats guys, where we can kind of slide up there too, though. So as far as that mall is decent. The mall that's a little like Transform or something like that. I can't think of what the name of that mall is a little more complicated to get to some of the. Well, I mean, the BJ's is outside of the mall, but the navigating around that mall is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the parking though, as you mentioned early on in San Francisco, I'm sure parking in a mall is much easier than pulling up to a side street at a corporate building and like you don't even know where you're going half the time.
This is what I would say for the parking out here is the trick is blend in, as what I'm going to say. The key word of this whole thing is blend in. If you could just somehow slide up and kind of blend in and not be sticking out, like, I mean, a lot of people like to double park and all this other madness. I got to take a double parking, so you know, watch out with the double parking thing. Um, but yeah, other than that, just blend in. You know what I'm saying? And most of the deliveries, they may have loading docks, and once you learn the loading docks, and because picking up the food is one thing, but then dropping it off is a whole other thing too. Because now you got to find that slide spot to try to run up in there and do your thing for like 5 minutes. And sometimes, I mean, when I first started, that was nerve wracking. But as I've progressed, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like you said, I think once you get a handle on things, it gets a little easier to navigate moving forward. What about in terms of like the restaurant stuff in general? You mentioned obviously already talking about taking a substantially large delivery that you know, maybe your car wasn't equipped to handle, or just we had to call out to get another driver to help you out there as well. Are there any things like you think that make working with specific restaurants super easy?
I think working with yes. Some of them pack it up nicely, you know what I mean? And then some don't. Like when we get relish orders per se, like for whatever reason, they like to put them all in individual, like little, I don't know, personal trays. And they don't put that in a bag. So they want you to take all these individual trays and then just put them in this our big loose bag. So now you got all these little loose dishes floating around, or I try to put them in little tighter bags, but yeah, that could be a little annoying with some of the relish orders in particular because they don't pack the bags for whatever reason. Like when you get a regular order, they'll just put it in their little bags and stuff, and you can just usually take those bags, put it in your bag, or if they're in like tins or whatever, you can grab that like that. But when you have relish, they're usually just in like little personal dishes, and you're gonna get 50 of them, or whatever they're gonna hit you with.
Yeah. The relish program, just because you are delivering all those individually boxed meals. Yeah, that was like that was a big COVID thing too. I don't know if you were doing food delivery during COVID, but like once that popped off, it was like everything was individually boxed, individually packaged, and that became a pretty big headache at times.
And everything was sealed, super taped, or this or that, and like, yeah, I mean, I feel that though for some of the stuff that it should be taped, and you don't want your package broken and stuff. But yeah, I could see that being a crazier problem with the cater orders.
I mean, what about like just things involving deliver that as well? Like, do you have any, I guess, we kind of mentioned taking your time, being like patient in terms of getting that first delivery and kind of finding your groove, getting those deliveries and finding your way within the application. Do you have any other advice for a new driver on the platform?
For the new drivers, just be patient with it, be patient with the screen, and just keep the screen open and keep the phone closed. And preferably, if you could just keep it out, lay it out to where you can see it. You don't gotta be, I don't know, I don't want to say, I mean, but you're gonna. I mean, the thing is, it's gonna. It feels like that phone is occupying up a lot of your space. Like you got to be so on it, but you'll find a rhythm. Just keep it somewhere where you can see it, and when you see it pop up, just hopefully you can hit it around that time, and you'll get it. You know what I mean? You'll find a rhythm though, eventually.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
that's why everybody wants the holy grail. Everybody's waiting on elite because I think when they say elite, oh, you get 50 orders and you get to just pick and oh, this and that. I'm like, well, yeah, when did that happen? I mean, I'm just waiting. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna keep doing my thing, so hopefully I will come up on that program too. I mean, that's one question. I mean, what is the mysterious elite program? I mean, how do you fall into that situation? I know UDM says just stick out. Hopefully I'm sticking out, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's what he says to do.
Yeah, no, there are specific qualifications. If you're familiar, ideliverthat.com/DAP, the driver assistance portal, there's an elite driver article that lists out like the exact stipulations. I know one of them is 100 total deliveries taken. I'm not sure what the time frame of that is, but I know that is one. And then there's also like a stipulation that like not having specific violations on the account within a certain amount of time as well. I know those are like two very specific asks that we have in terms of joining the elite tier. And then also it's not necessarily like when you meet those qualifications, you're automatically into it, right? We only allow
There's no
a certain
room.
number
That's what
of,
I'm assuming in
right.
my little spot is just they probably already got what they got, you know what I mean? They got their elite team and that's pretty much that. But I ain't tripping. I'll take what falls off the truck, you know what I mean? Because it still works. It still works.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's definitely it's like a certain max number that we allow of lead drivers as well per metro. So yeah. Yeah.
I figured it's gonna be something like that because you can't flood that market. I mean, right. They need, you know what I mean? So I mean once you get there, you'll get there. That's why I figured just keep doing what you're doing, you know what I mean? I'll hit it. And if not, you know what I mean? I feel like I pull pretty good numbers regardless. So, you know, you gotta make it work.
Yeah, no, you're doing a hell of a job, man. I'll tell you that right now. Me to you, I think you're doing a great job and you're killing it out there. So I think you said, UDM said stick out. I think we wouldn't have you on the spotlight if you weren't sticking out. So you're doing a hell of a job. I'll tell you that right now. In terms of outside of all this gig work, this gig life stuff, I know you mentioned you're a caretaker, things of that nature. Something that we talked about in our intro call, and you mentioned a handful of times on the spotlight questionnaire we sent out, was like the music production side of things that you're into, hip hop, stuff like that. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. That's super intriguing to me. I'm not like a massive music buff or like nerd or whatever you would call it, but I am super into production and kind of creating music in terms of those things. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and maybe we could start with a question I just generally have is like, who's one of your biggest hip hop influences?
One of my big hip hop influences. Well, I'm from the old school, I guess. I mean, some of the Bay Area independent artists, E40 type of stuff. That's my era, Mac Dre type thing. So I was making, independent music, creating our own beats, our own stuff. I haven't been into it super lately, but because I've been busy, my daughter's been out here. My equipment's actually in storage right now. But yeah, that is a super duper passion of mine that I do fool with. I also do a little day trading and stuff like that as well. You know what I mean?
Nice. What are you into? Bitcoin just hit 70,000. Are we into crypto at all too, or how do we feel about that?
Unfortunately, no, I was over here playing around with options and I wasn't paying too much attention to the Bitcoin game. I should have been over there with the Bitcoin boys. Did you hop in on the Bitcoin game? I should ask.
I'm so we have a couple people in the office that are like really up to date on that kind of stuff. I've been in and out of it. I was like in pretty early, but then like sold it, and I've done that like a handful of times since. Where like I like need to pay a bill this month, so I'll like sell it real quick, and then I'm out. And then so I haven't been back in it for probably like a year and change at this point. So at this point in time, I almost feel like I'm out. Like I missed it.
Right, it's like, double dutch. You gotta, what I'm saying, find your little whenever you can get in. Like right now, that's where I'm kind of out. What I mean? Nothing's really hitting. I've been looking for stuff, but it ain't really hitting right now. So I'm just kind of on a little hiatus myself, if you will, because I just wait for setups. That's all it is, really. Waiting for good setups.
Yeah.
Everything's a little overextended, so I'll wait for something to come back around.
Yeah, I follow. There's a few like Twitter accounts that I follow. They're like one's called like Stock Pattern Pros, and he like graphs everything out and like shows like the wedges. Like, all right, like this is about to burst out because it's here, and like there's this Fibonacci sequence which means nothing to me, but he said it's good, so I'm like, all right, I'm in, baby. Like, let's roll.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just watching your patterns. What I mean? Once they come into that area, when all the little moving averages get tight, and that's usually when they're either going to break up or break down. What I mean? Hopefully, you're on the right side of the trade, though.
I like that. You know how to wiggle. What about I want to go back to the production. I know you said you're out of it a little bit nowadays, but what when you're making a beat and stuff like that, where would you start when you're making the beat? You start with like the drums, the melody, the bass. Where are you starting when you're making something?
Me, I'm a sound guy. So sometimes, if either you're working with a loop or whatever, if you're creating a loop, you know what I mean? So I like to go like, piano sounds, maybe atmospheric sounds like sound not like spacey, but
Some
just
like
nice,
synths.
airy, not too heavy. Maybe I'll get chordy with it, you know what I mean? So it just depends. I'll try to get that going, the melody, I guess, if you will. Get the melody going, then you might want to come in with maybe your snare to 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 get that rhythm all together with it. You know what I mean? But first I like to just come up with a nice little melody first and then kind of start layering after that.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. What about the who are some of your favorite artists right now that you're listening to? I know you mentioned you're a big West Coast guy. So are we still riding like who we got out there? Like YG would be a big name I'd say on the West Coast. Nipsey before he passed away, huge West Coast artist. Who you got right now?
Who's in the thing now? Right now I've been on some weird rap. I've kind of been over here on Alchemist. I don't know if you really have heard of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's on the East Coast, sample based guy. You know what I mean? I've been kind of messing with him and his Boldly James and Action Bronsons and some of that stuff. You know what I mean? Some of that I kind of like some of their lyrical profiles. They come up with some new stuff, so I kind of like how they've been coming with it.
Yeah, I just saw. I got to look it up because Alchemist is. I think he just came out with a new tape or something, didn't he?
Yeah, probably not too long ago. I think he did. He dropped a few projects. So I mean, I got some records in storage. So I'm about to actually move. So hopefully you might hear me back in the game soon. You know what I'm saying? So I'm about to pull my records out of storage and get my little sampler back up in the mix. You know what I mean? And fool around, see what I can come up with. And actually, Alchemist has been rapping, which is
Yeah,
really good.
right. That's what I saw. He's putting out a tape with a rapper. That's what I was trying to think of. I forget who it
It
is
might
though.
be Hit Boy. That's who I seen him with live.
Okay, okay, yeah, I'll have to look that up afterwards. What about the last question I got in terms of hip hop? I know I'm going a little in on it, maybe a little too much, but if you could pick one artist to work with, dead or alive, who's the one artist you would pick?
Mm, that is a wonderful question. I mean, I'm probably gonna say Tupac just because I'm out here West Coasting it. You know what I mean? I bring back a Pac verse, Pac song.
What do you think? So you know how like Juice World passed away, I think a couple years ago at this point in time, and people still have his vocals, so they're like still putting out songs with him, and like there's like man, who's someone was just on Drake's new album he put out. This was like a Houston rapper. I can't think of his name right now, but he put out like a sample of him on his record, like vocals from years ago that had never been released. You think there's unreleased Tupac vocals out there and like tracks that we've never heard?
At this time, I mean, I think we got the bulk of them. You know what I'm saying? There may be a couple, laid out verses somewhere, but most of them, I think we got them. Most of the archive cuts, unless somebody got some stuff, some personal stuff, what I mean, that they made that was never really like in the main studio. Somebody might have some of that, but
Yeah, yeah. Jada Pinkett Smith might be sitting on some
yeah,
old Tupac
she's actually
stuff.
got a couple records. She coming out with a mixtape. You know what I'm saying? To Tupac.
Yeah, she might got something in that stash. Shit. All right, man. Well, Bryan, I mean, well, we going on like I think 20, 30 minutes here. I can get you out of here. I know you got stuff to take care of on your end, man. I do appreciate your time coming on the spotlight, joining us all the way out in the West Coast, out San Francisco. I know we're dealing with a little time difference here, so thank you so much. But like I said, man, you're doing a hell of a job on the platform. I appreciate you sitting down with us, talking to some new drivers, some current drivers, some drivers who might not even know about the platform. They're just going to hear this for the first time and maybe sign up because of the stories you told and the experiences you were able to share with us, man. So thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.